And good morning, everybody. Welcome. Hot Takes Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, how are you today?
Battling a cold, Eric. I picked it up somewhere along the way here. You know how it is when you're traveling with a cold. So, Going to put the head down, get the tough yards in between the tackles today. That's my goal.
Well, on this show today, I will be your Matsui, and you can be Walter Payton. I will open up the holes for you. With that, I want to tell you about Roller Auction, the leader in Colorado auctions for over 45 years on Thursday. Planet Open Box is having an auction for home goods, toys, exercise equipment, electronics, and more. Online bidding has started at rollerauction.com. You can learn about upcoming auctions, and there are a lot of great ones coming up at rollerauction.com. You can do all of your bidding, again, online. You don't have to leave the comfort of your own home to get what you want at the price you want. Go to Roller Auction today. And by the way, with the holidays coming up, you can get a lot of really cool stuff for the holidays. Time now for the lead.
The lead is presented by Smokin' Dave's Barbecue. It is not just the best barbecue in town, it is one of the best restaurants in town. You can find Smokin' Dave's Barbecue off 36th and Pecos.
Okay, Bruce, the Rockies are like a routine for a comedian. The jokes just write themselves. So Paul DePodesta was interviewed by Patrick Saunders of the Denver Post, and here's the line that stands out as much as anything else, because you can make the case it is the ultimate double entendre. When asked about joining the Rockies, he said, "I'm a sucker for a challenge." Well, Paul, I got news for you. You got the challenge of a lifetime, and if you don't have full control, you are the ultimate sucker.
How long do you think it will take him to wade into this and discover all of the layers he's got to deal with in terms of just running this franchise in some clean air? And will he ever run this franchise in clean air? Look, it can't get any worse. That's my bottom line with the Rockies. It can't get any worse. So at the very least, they're trying to do something. They're trying to shoot out a different direction. Maybe it will. I feel a little bit. It's like, throwing things at the wall and seeing what will stick. We're kind of to that stage of operations now for the Rockies. And the thing is that I'm sure the Rockies feel like, oh my God, this is a new thing for us. We're really stepping out. We're really doing something different here. We're going to get around the corner and we're going to be relevant and we're going to be respectable. Okay, well, it can't get any worse.
Read the fine print. Read the fine print. How much control does he have? Let's put something into perspective here. Their two finalists turned the job down.
Right.
And then Dick Monfort comes out and says, after hiring Paul DePodesta, he was our first interview. Okay, what the hell does that mean? He was your first interview, but not good enough to be a finalist. I don't want to say, it's probably too strong to say he was desperate to get back into baseball, but he spent how many years? 10 years with the Cleveland Browns? Sorry. His hands are all over Deshaun Watson. His hands are all over a crappy NFL franchise. It's almost like guilt by association. Do you really want someone who is helping pull the levers in one of the worst organizations in football as part of your organization?
Well,
and it's totally different sport. First of all, why did the Browns even hire this guy? I understand that there have been crossovers in the past, but here's a crossover that did work. Jerry Krause was a scout for the Chicago White Sox. He eventually became the GM of the Bulls. So I'm not suggesting there can't be any crossover. But the truth is, when you look at Paul DePodesta's career, show me something that's impressive that he did, that he ran, that he was in charge of. I can tell you one thing that put him on top of the list in terms of being in charge. He lasted 2 years as the Dodgers GM. 2. That's his claim to fame. And then he got fired after year 2.
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, the resume is the resume, right? I mean, you can't hide from the resume. Um,
He's got a great resume. He was portrayed in a movie. That's his claim to fame.
Jonah Hill was great, by the way, as Paul DePodesta. Yeah, that's right. Uh-huh. But as I said to Troy on Friday, and I will say it to you, at the very least, Eric, at the very least, are we going to get some analytics now? 10 years behind the curve in Major League Baseball? Are we going to maybe get an analytics department now that does carry a little bit of weight? I mean, at the very least, DePodesta was part of that wave that now is so far behind the curve in Major League Baseball that I'm not so sure how you catch up. So, look, I don't want to rain on the parade. I will stick with this hope that it just can't get any worse. And that's about as backhanded as I can possibly be. It just can't be any worse for the Rockies.
Okay, I'm going to share with you. Obviously, this is someone, I'm not going to name the person's name.
Right.
Someone who's been around baseball for a long time at the highest of levels. I asked this person about Paul DePodesta. He said to me, quote, "No people skills, no charisma. Ask the people in LA. He was a total disaster."
Ooh, well, that hurt.
Okay, with that, let's move on. Unless you want to add to that, because, I mean, this person who I got this quote from, trust him inherently. I'm sure there are people around baseball saying, you're bringing back a guy who's been out for 10 years. And oh, by the way, look at what he's done in the last 10 years. And yes, we could talk about analytics all day. You can present analytics to someone. Billy Beane was the genius in picking and choosing which analytics worked. Paul DePodesta, according to the movie, was not making decisions.
No. So I think that when the reaction, and I've read this a couple of places, when the reaction around the league is this is such a Rockies thing,
right?
It's almost done with such a dismissive wiping aside of the Rockies and how they are perceived. Remember when Bryce Harper got into it? Was it last season or the season before with I think it was Bird in a game in Denver, and he goes off the field yelling Bush League franchise and stuff like that. Is how the Rockies are generally perceived around
that.
Major
Generally,
League Baseball.
Give me one person
specifically, right?
Yeah. I don't think anyone looks at the Rockies as a serious organization when it comes to winning. But their owner will be getting plenty of publicity when there's a work stoppage at the end of this upcoming season. And Dick is standing there, in front of the microphone. And all of us are laughing at this guy because we've been laughing at him for years. But now the national media is going to get a chance and a pretty good glimpse of the joke that we have been covering for decades. Now the national media is going to get their swing at the piñata, and they will be far more ruthless than we are here locally. Because quite frankly, we are numb at this point to Dick Monfort and his band of merry idiots.
There's resignation, and I am the classic example of this. I will put myself out as the classic example of being resigned to the ineptitude of this franchise. I'm a baseball guy, love the game of baseball. I'm a Red Sox fan, but I could be persuaded by teams in the National League. I'm always looking for a home, right? And I arrive here right as the whole Trevor Story thing is starting to, he's hitting all these home runs in his debut, and the Rockies are going to the postseason, and I'm a pig in slop. It can't get any better for me. It's playoff baseball, and they're winning a playoff game the second year of this cycle, and I was so encouraged and excited. And all of that has been sucked out of me year by depressing year, decision by depressing decision, incompetence fueled by incompetence, one year after the next. And to your point now, there's nothing left. For all of us locally, I mean, the ballpark is a great place to go. There are people in that franchise I really, really enjoy, but not the decision makers. And the decision makers have just not shown themselves to be capable. Nothing else, not good, just capable, because the Rockies have not been relevant really for the last 8 years.
The Rockies are white noise every summer.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
That's all they are. There's nothing about them that makes you pay attention. It's just this constant static of whether it's losing, incompetence. Got nothing to do. I'll go down to the ballpark. Doesn't even matter who they're playing. We'll just go down there to have a good time. And I don't know if Paul DePodesta is the right guy or not. Obviously, you want to give him a chance, but just show me a resume of success. Show me something that he has done that hasn't been highlighted in a movie. And oh, by the way, Paul DePodesta was not the featured character in this. It was Billy Beane.
Right.
Billy Beane. And they used the name Billy Beane. They didn't even use the name Paul DePodesta in the movie. He was riding shotgun throughout this entire thing. Might have been his idea for, sabermetrics. Okay.
Sure.
And Billy Beane certainly benefited from it. But once he left the A's, show me some success. With that, let's move on to the Broncos, as they have a big game obviously coming up on Sunday against the Chiefs. Want to address the boos that Bo Nix got at Empower Field last Thursday. He said, I've been booed before. I'll be booed again. All right. You have any concerns about Nix moving forward? Seems like we have this conversation every week, but now we are 10 weeks in. Is he regressing? What seems to be wrong?
The answer on regressing is I think he is regressing a little bit. I don't think it's not. I wouldn't say that it's not recoverable. I think he can recover from it. He's still, but he's been, the last 2 weeks have not been excusable. They have just not been very good. The offense has been deplorable, and they haven't done their part, which largely means that Bo Nix has not done his part. Look, this is a football team that we are now talking about on higher levels of expectation. This isn't just the conversation of, hey, do you think the Broncos will make the playoffs? And geez, we'll be happy if they do. This is a franchise that's been to 8 Super Bowls. This is a franchise that's won 3 of them. This is a franchise that has great, lofty expectations, but an understanding of how it's supposed to look like from the rank and file. Those 76,000 that come every week has seen what football needs to look like in Denver in order to be successful. So there is a different level of expectation that you have in a city like Denver, which is one of the legacy cities, I think, for the NFL. I mean, they win multiple championships. They've been in multiple championship games. So obviously, you've got to continue to improve, because if you improve, then you are a Super Bowl contending team. And you can say that with a pretty straight face. I mean, no one is saying that the Broncos can be a Super Bowl contender and be laughed at. Now, maybe there's a little bit of a hesitation right now because of what the offense is not doing. I will give you that. But, that's on Sean Payton and Bo Nix to figure it out. They're making, Sean Payton's making a lot of money here, and Bo Nix is his guy. Let's go.
All right, I'm going to try and connect some dots here, even though you can make the case there are no dots to be connected. I think it is pretty well known that Colin Cowherd and Sean Payton have a pretty good relationship. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I would say that's true.
Okay. Colin Cowherd came out and said the Broncos should consider drafting a quarterback. Now, I think the question is, do you think Cowherd is saying this because of a conversation he had with Payton, or do you think he just kind of believes that on his own? Because honestly, with the relationship, if you have a relationship with a head coach, you have a right to your opinion, especially if you're a sports talk show host. But I can't imagine you're going to go too off the grid,
right,
going rogue by saying something about one of your good friends publicly, unless you have inside information.
Yeah.
I'm not saying to you,
yeah.
Did Payton say something to Cowherd directly? Probably not. But you're wondering, where's Colin coming up with this?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know the context of what the conversation and narrative was like with that statement from Colin Cowherd. I do know this. They've got to get better play in that position, and they've got and it needs to happen pretty damn quickly. They are this is an 8-2 football team, and it sounds like we're. It's not even nitpicking, Eric. This is a key component to what the Broncos are trying to do right now. They're trying to win the AFC and get to a Super Bowl. And right now, the only thing holding them back would be some level of consistency in the offense. And we're not talking about the offense humming at a high level. We're just talking about the offense being a good enough offense to kind of to just do their part. They don't have to keep up with the defense,
right?
But they've got to take care of their part of the equation. So it doesn't have to look like the Dallas game or the Cincy game where you're scoring points and you just have to take care of your business and keep the defense off the field. If you can just do that, keep the defense off the field, allow them chances to rest and to recoup, then you are in a much better position than you were. I don't know about the whole. We know this, that Sean Payton is very purposeful, right? When he talks, he generally talks with a purpose. Every now and then he'll fly off the cuff, maybe say something or other that later he wants to kind of wish that he hadn't said, but that's pretty rare. Sean's an awfully smart guy. Anything that he generally says is purposeful. So I wouldn't put it past him at all.
I don't want to get too far.
I
don't want to get too far into the weeds here, but there's been a lot of conversation about this topic I'm about to bring up because we have all seen it, and it's not debatable. It's right there on the TV screen. It's right there on the field. Bo Nix's mechanics, his footwork, right? Throwing off his back foot, throwing with this arm angle. And from the people that I've talked to who know more about football than I do, it's not a mess, but it's not very good either. Is that a fair assessment?
Right. That's a really good assessment. Yeah, it's not a mess, but it's not good.
This is what I'm failing to understand. For a guy like Bo Nix, who, according to everybody around him, has a high football IQ, has a tremendous work ethic as well, is a fast learner, is a guy who we have been told doesn't make the same mistake twice.
Right.
You have a head coach who is a very good offensive mind, okay? Really good with quarterbacks. When you put all of these ingredients into a pot, you are expecting it to be one of the best meals you've ever had. Everything that we know about Bo Nix, everything that we know about Sean Payton, and instead on Sundays, it tastes like a bowl of boiled socks.
Can't argue that.
But why? That's what I don't understand. Footwork is working on it. It is repetition. I understand when you are playing a game, things happen live. I understand them. But why does it seem to be week after week? Why he's overthrowing guys? Why he is missing guys? And then we hear the announcers say it comes back to footwork and so on and so forth. What is Bo Nix not getting? What is Bo Nix not being taught? Well, what is he not absorbing and then turning around and becoming better for it? And honestly, after starting at like game 5 of last year, I don't remember these mechanical issues.
No.
But I sure as heck see them now. And I'm wondering why.
Yeah. And the interesting thing is that they seem to we understand that he is a much better quarterback, at least up tempo, than he is when he is being asked to win you games from the pocket. He's good outside the pocket. He's good on the move. He's been good doing that this year. So it becomes incumbent upon, first of all, Bo Nix and Davis. You've got to continue to work on those basics, and I know that they do, because I see it. I mean, I see it, but the consistency and the lack of consistency has been alarming, and that's something or other that either they have to simplify or they have to figure out the pace that he needs to play with, that you can go ahead and try to play with as an offense that doesn't hurt your defense. You can't play up tempo all the time, but I do think that you can mix it in more. But the problem with Bo is you have seen enough demonstrated ability from Bo Nix to know that he can be the guy that you need him to be. The question right now and the frustration right now is getting him to that point more consistently. Is it a long trip? Is it a long distance to get there? Or is it a short distance to get there? For Sean Payton, it's probably, I'm sure he sees it as, this is tweaking more than anything else that needs to be done. It's not an overhaul that you need to do with Bo Nix. It's some form of tweaking. Well, start tweaking.
Coming up after the break, I think, well, probably more so me than you, I've been guilty of my mouth working faster than my brain, which is not a good thing.
No.
But when somebody does say something that seems to me to be completely outrageous and with very little facts behind it, and he's a national guy who enjoys being a lightning rod, I like to poke at him. I just enjoy that. And that is Nick Wright. And wait until you hear what he said about Deion Sanders and some more love for Deion Sanders. But in this case of what Nick Wright said, it is so outrageous, it is laughable. That's next.
Ever wondered where city and county fleet vehicles go when they retire? Now's your chance to find out and score big. Imagine driving away with a great deal on a reliable vehicle. For over 45 years, Roller Auction has been the trusted source for government fleet vehicles and equipment. Trucks, SUVs, sedans, and more, all selling to the highest bidder. Don't miss out. Visit roller.bid/hot takes to get auction updates today. Your next vehicle could be just a click away.
Everyone has their favorite barbecue spot. Mine, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. My favorites, slowly smoked ribs, smoked corned beef Reuben, smoked meatloaf with a portobello balsamic cream sauce. And don't forget about Smokin' Dave's 16-hour smoked brisket and pork with with one of their 4 homemade barbecue sauces. Great sides, you bet. Barbecue beans made with pork and brisket and their southern corned bake. Man, you got to try it. Plus, they have amazing non-barbecue entrees on the menu. Go where I go, Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew in North Denver.
Ferguson's Heating and Cooling is the best in Denver, and their customers agree. Ferguson's has 165 5-star Google reviews, and here's one from Betsy. Highly professional, prompt, and honest. I switched to Ferguson's when I became aware my former company was trying to sell me a whole new system I didn't need. Ferguson's is an honest, working, family-owned business that'll give you a fair price, the highest quality parts and equipment, and they always show up on time. You can trust the Ferguson family like you trust your own family. Go to fergusonsheatingandcooling.com.
Everyone has their favorite sports bar. Mine, the Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. All their locations are everything a sports bar should be. An upscale menu with 12 different burgers, outstanding wings, and my favorite, the Philly cheesesteak egg rolls. They've got every game on the NFL Sunday Ticket, MLB Extra Innings, NHL Center Ice, NBA League Pass, plus soccer, rugby, and UFC. Sportsbook, great hangout bar, great for private parties. The Sportsbook Bar and Grill in Highlands Ranch, DTC, and now in Parker. They are the sports bar.
Here's another great promotion from Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos in Blackhawk. On December 13th, it's their annual holiday auction for a pair of Super Bowl tickets, tools, jewelry, electronics, toys, and kitchen appliances. Earn auction currency with every locked-up jackpot, players' points, or a daily cash drawing. There's so many ways to earn currency, and the more you play, the more you'll be able to bid and win what you want at their auction. So get up to Sasquatch and Wildcard Casinos and start stacking your auction currency today.
And welcome back. Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl. Broncos play the Chiefs on Sunday. Are you going to be tailgating? For many of you, I'm guessing you are. The question is, what are you going to do? Are you going to do the cooking, which I know a lot of people like to do? Or do you want to save a lot of money and honestly have better food by going to Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew and catering in for your tailgate instead of doing it yourself? Not a knock. I'm sure you're a wonderful cook. But at the end of the day, Dave's been doing this for decades. And in my opinion, they easily have the best barbecue spot in town. And honestly, I think it's one of the best restaurants in town. So here's an idea for you if you are looking to cater in. It's called the Big Kahuna Belly Buster. It's a full slab of ribs, a whole chicken, half pound of pulled pork, half pound of beef brisket, served with 4 large sides, 6 pieces of cornbread, serves up to 5 to 7 people, and it costs less than $100. I don't think you can get a better deal like that for the quality. If you want to do your own cooking, knock yourself out. If you want to do it less expensively and honestly probably better, go to Smokin' Dave's Barbecue and Brew. You can find them really right around the corner from Empower Field. They're off of 36th and Pecos. Time now for What's Trending.
What's trending on Hot Takes with Goodman and Haertl? Brought to you by Mile High Sports.
All right, Nick Wright suggested the Cleveland Browns should hire Deion Sanders to be their new head coach because he brings, quote, a winning culture. If he didn't use the phrase winning culture, for me personally, I would let that slide. With that, I'm going to ask you very short questions. Give me a yes or no.
All right.
Okay? Bruce, is 3-7 a winning culture?
No.
Is a losing record over 3 seasons a winning culture?
No.
When you look at his track record of hiring assistant coaches, is that a winning culture?
No.
Is overhauling your roster year after year with the transfer portal, specifically on your offensive and defensive lines, a winning culture?
Has not been. No.
Okay. So, Nick, this is what I would ask you. Is this honestly about thinking that Deion should be the head coach because he brings a winning culture, or you think it would be good for his son?
Yeah.
Please talk me off the ledge and tell me where I'm wrong. This love affair with Deion Sanders as some great head coach is a joke because he's done a lot of great things. But in game, is he a great head coach? No. I'll tell you what I think he might be getting as a gift for Christmas. He's going to open a box, and there's going to be a whole mess of timeouts sitting in there.
That's funny. All the ones that he hasn't used in the last 3 years.
Yes.
That's rich. Look, there is a fascination. It's part of the stout. It really, as it relates to Deion Sanders, it's part of the star power that he clearly resonates. And good for him. I mean, great for him. He's one of those guys that just let's see, who else could we that's kind of Teflon. Nothing seems to stick. And he has done great things. He's done great things as the face of Colorado football. But as the coach of Colorado football, probably not quite as impressive.
I'll tell you what he's done.
Not
I'll
as
tell you
impressive.
what he's done. He has screwed high school seniors in the state of Colorado by doing great things. What do I mean by? You probably think I'm talking about football. I'm not. Any kid in state that wants to go to Colorado, I was just told it's now $38,000 a year.
Wow, is that right?
Price keeps going up. And I think some of it has to do with the football program. But unfortunately, the football program isn't very good right now. The enrollment is higher, more kids want to go, and the price keeps going up. I mean, seriously, the price of admission for an in-state kid, and I know this because my daughter's looking at colleges, is now about $38,000.
Wow.
I mean, you could easily, not easily, but you can go to, and by the way, Colorado doesn't give out a lot of scholarships either, from what I have researched. So it's not like you're going to get stuff marked off your bar bill. You can, I mean, it might be smarter financially to go out of state if you're an in-state student. But that's neither here nor there. Deion Sanders has done a lot of great things for the football program. But eventually, we knew eventually it would come down to winning. Right now, that's not happening. You can make the case that with Shedeur leaving and Travis Hunter leaving, this was going to be a rebuilding year. But I ask every Buffs fan out there, what is the statute of limitations on blaming everything on Carl Durrell? Well, he inherited a team that only won one game. When do we stop with that narrative? Is it
year
is it
three?
Next year? Is it
year
10
three.
years from now? What's that?
Year 3. I mean, usually we look at 3 years in, at least in most sports, to have kind of cleaned out the pantry and stocked it with your own produce, right?
These are all his guys now.
Yeah, they're all his guys, right? They're all his guys, but the bigger question here is, how does this relate to the next level of football? No one is going to deny Deion Sanders his flowers. I mean, we know what kind of player he was. We're finding out what kind of coach he is. I think he's a very good leader of a program. I mean, I suppose you could make that argument that I mean, look at what he's done for Colorado football. We've talked about it a lot, but from a competitive standpoint, it hasn't been there, not consistently at any rate. And so to make the jump about coaching at the next level, which I think is, I don't know if it's harder because of the nature of NIL and the transfer portal now in college football has created different kinds of challenges in retaining a roster that you don't have in the NFL. You have a roster given to you in the NFL, and then you start to shape it like Sean Payton and George Payton have done together. But I don't know about the guarantee that Nick Wright is giving us about this supposed winning culture that Deion Sanders would bring to the NFL. Hell, Deion Sanders doesn't even acknowledge culture. So, no. I mean, so from that standpoint, I think that's kind of a leap. and especially when there's really no proof that that would be the case. I think it would be a crapshoot with Deion Sanders at the next level.
I think it is understandable to look back at history, excuse me, to try and make comparisons and say, well, look at the history, and this could happen because of the history. One of my favorites, which was completely inaccurate, was this. Well, I know Drew Lock is struggling, but look at what happened with Josh Allen in his first 2 years. That was one of my favorites. Okay. Now we still have the narrative, which is, well, Deion inherited a team that won a single game. Fine. But you know what I'm waiting for next? If it hasn't been whispered already, well, if this was Bill McCartney, he would have been fired by now. Because when you look at the history of Colorado football, Bill McCartney took over for Chuck Fairbanks in 1981. Chuck Fairbanks's final 3 teams, 3-8, 1-10, 3-8. Bill McCartney takes over, 2-8-1 first season. I suppose you can make the case that's understandable. Somebody's first season. Then they improved to 4-7, and then in year 3, they were 1-10. First 3 seasons, they won a total of 7 games and lost 25. But Bill McCartney kept his job. Season number 4, his team was 7-5, then 6-6, then 7-4, so on and so forth. With Deion Sanders, is the 4th year the one where we say, okay, this is all on you? Or can we look at this season and say, this is all on you, even though you lost your 2 best players? I mean, how do we slice up this pie here?
I think, well, look, there's one person that has the responsibility, and that's the head coach. So it's on him.
Yeah.
Period. We are sitting here at what, 3-7? Is that what they are now? 3-7. They're not going to be in a bowl game. 4 wins would appear to be the top of what they can expect to achieve, hope to achieve at this point. And so you are what you are. I mean, they are a sub 500 program. Yes, they are much better than what Karl Dorrell ended with at the University of Colorado. But is that really your baseline?
Right.
Is that really your baseline of comparison? Mine for Deion Sanders right now, because frankly, and this is part of what I love about Deion Sanders, he only wants to be rated and compared to programs at the top of the game in college football.
Well, then by his own metric, his team blows.
Well, yeah.
They're 3-7, and they got blown out and embarrassed in 3 games. They did have an upset win over a then-ranked Iowa State team.
Yep.
And even though the final score was not as close as it seems, you can make the case at least at some point they gave Georgia Tech a game.
Yeah, they did. And BYU, right? And BYU just lost for the very first time the other day against Texas Tech, who, by the way, is damn good. But anyway, they have not risen to the level that I am sure Deion Sanders had hoped and maybe even expected at this point. And I would imagine, because I do think Deion Sanders is one smart dude. I do think he is. There's no reason for me to think otherwise.
But is there a difference? Is there a difference between being one smart dude and then trying to push it down everybody's throat that you are the smartest guy in the room?
Yeah, there is a difference. But my point would be on this right now is I would imagine that there's probably some. I know that we get the the bravado still, we know how to do this, blah, blah, and all of that stuff. And I know that he believes it, but I think that when you get to this point, I would imagine that there's probably some, I don't know about soul searching, but looking in the mirror and saying, how can we do this better because we're not doing it enough? And, he's propped his players. He's stayed behind his players. He's done the right things in that regard. He's questioned their ability, not their ability, but their want to, maybe a couple of times through implying, but he hasn't thrown them under the bus or anything like that. But I would imagine that he is smart enough, and this is where I will give him credit. I think that he is smart enough to start with himself and his coaching staff and say, okay, what's working, or more importantly, what's not working? Because there's probably more proof on the latter.
Okay. I want to end with this. Deion Sanders doesn't really have a challenge recruiting. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
He pretty much,
yes.
for the most part, if there are 10 players out there and he wants all 10, he's probably going to get 5 or 6 of them. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I keep wondering.
Now,
about
granted, NIL.
That would be my only pushback. It's not even a pushback. The only thing I would say is what's your NIL situation? And there have been at least enough hints that they are not where he would like to be in terms of NIL, even though he has said on numerous occasions through the years, you don't come here to make money. You come here to play football and to get to the next level, and which I appreciate. That's fine, but it may be a deterrent for where they are at this particular point in trying to build the program the way they want to. Who knows?
Well, just for the sport of this conversation, let's say, for the sake of argument, Deion Sanders is the head coach at Mississippi State. What does his team look like in the SEC? A far better conference than the Big 12.
Well, you don't want to know about that, about how important it is in the SEC. And look, he's in a really good place to make this work. He's in a good conference to make this work. This is a conference that doesn't have, you could argue that Texas Tech is starting to establish itself as the alpha in the Big 12. They're spending an incredible amount of money, one of the top spenders in college football.
Bruce, the Big 12 is the minor leagues compared to the SEC and the Big 10 in football. They're the minor leagues. And so is the ACC. They're the minor leagues. The SEC and the Big 10 are the two big dogs. It is like what the Big 8 used to be. Yeah. It's the Big 2 and the Little 6.
But my point is this. If you're going to do it, you can do it in the Big 12, but you've got to become the alpha in the Big 12. You can be a playoff team every year if you're dominating in the Big 12. But the Big 12, well, you define it as a minor league, and I don't disagree totally. But here's the deal. You can still be what you want to be in college football in a 12-man playoff now by being dominant in the Big 12. So be great at the level that you are, right? Be great in the level that you are, and because you can get things done. TCU was in the national championship game 3 years ago.
Aberration.
You can do it. I hear you. But you can still do it. You can be in it. You can be in the mix.
Yeah.
In college football.
Yeah.
By being dominant in the Big 12.
Being in the Big 12, at least the way it sits right now, in my opinion, being in the Big 12 is kind of like being an Ivy League basketball school. All you have to do is win your conference and you go into the NCAA tournament. You get an automatic bid. It's the same thing in college football. The Big 12 is going to get a bid for sure. But how many bids are they going to get this year? 1? How many bids did they get last year? Was it 1? Right?
Arizona State and BYU. you're going to get a couple of teams in. You're gonna generally you're gonna get a couple of teams in, and
Well,
you can win a game
because
You can win a
because it's been expanded.
right. Well,
I mean, Penn got to the Final Four in 1979. Right?
Yes, they did. Yep.
Yeah. Everyone forgets that was the real Cinderella story in 1979. It wasn't Magic and Larry Bird. It was Penn that got in to the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
But there's your little history lesson. And then, of course, DePaul, my team growing up out of Chicago, blew it again.
Mark Aguirre.
Terry Cummings.
God.
Clyde Bradshaw.
They had
every year we're thinking Ray Meyer's going to get us there, baby.
Rod
and every
Strickland.
year,
I mean, my God, they had really good players at DePaul, man. Really good.
They did. All right, that's going to do it for us. Hot Takes, Goodman and Haertl. Bruce, feel better. Safe travels back to Denver.